Okay, so I want to thank each and every one of you for taking a little bit of time out of your Saturday morning to join us for our District 63 Club Coaching Panel. Unfortunately, a couple of our panelists couldn't make it, but we do have Dean here this morning, and I'm excited to hear from him on ways we can hopefully improve coaching and also work on retention efforts here in District 63. I'm Jason Cook, Program Quality Director. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Dean. Dean, you have a lot of experience, and we're excited to hear from you, sir.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's club coaching is an incredibly rewarding experience, whether you're successful or not. The great part of it, though, is that if you do it long enough, you're going to be successful. Uh, some clubs need more work than others, so you can't just paint with a broad brush and say every club is has this problem, or that problem. Now, in general, the key to being or having a club coach is membership. You may have other problems, but your membership numbers are what allows you to get a club coach. So if you're down at that mark of 11, 12, 13, you're right there where getting a club coach is a possibility. And especially if you're trending down, if you're losing attendance and you're not sure why. Clubs lose membership for a variety of reasons. Corporate clubs, in many cases, once they stop paying, if the company isn't paying for their membership, people start to feel like, well, it isn't a value to the company. Why should it be a value to me? But the most critical thing is you need to have somebody at whatever club it is that is a key individual that wants to make a difference, that is open to ideas. The first process that I usually have people go through is moments of truth. It's available online on Toastmasters, and we can maybe link to that also. But if you look up Toastmasters Moments of Truth, basically it's a self-evaluation that a club does to show what is going on. Okay, what do you think you do well? I was a club coach for one group, and they were far harsher on themselves than I would have been. I think they look at it and they're like, yeah, we should be doing a better job with this, and we should do a better job with that. And then once you do that, that helps to set you up for your distinguished club plan. So if you've done start with your moments of truth, work into doing the distinguished club plan, because the first is a self-evaluation, understanding what your challenges are. It's just a questionnaire basically to say, what do we need help in? And then when you do that, you start filling out your distinguished club plan, you start to see where, okay, I need to do this, this, and this. Well, here's a spot for that in my plan to make sure that that's happening. I think sometimes clubs don't even know why they're challenged. They don't know what some of the problems are. And that evaluation helps to identify them. They're just sitting there saying, well, how come nobody comes to our meetings anymore? Or how come this isn't happening? Well, you'd be surprised that you have a few things that start to challenge people. COVID was a huge one. I think everybody who went through COVID saw a shift in their club. Some clubs that were excellent, probably some of the best I'd ever visited, were challenged during COVID because the thing that made them really good was their in-person experience, their leadership that could be conveyed in a one-on-one environment. When you go to a hybrid or a completely online experience, it was a very big challenge for people to say, hey, how do I make that same thing happen, or these people experience the same thing when they're now on a computer? And that became very challenging for many of our members and many of our leaders. And as goes club membership, so goes leadership. Because if you don't have enough people for your membership, you only have 5 members, almost every one of them has a role in that club. And you're trying to struggle, and it's very difficult. The more people you have, the easier the work is. And I want to encourage everybody to take advantage of that. I hope that helps as a little introduction anyways.
Certainly, and I know you've done a lot of work with clubs, and you've always been there trying to help cheer people on. And we appreciate that, and it's good people like you and that get in there and get in the trenches and try to really um, mentor, but also encourage and motivate the membership to be more active and to get more engaged and to recruit new members into the club. That really helps the coaching process to be successful. I've been a coach as well. I've been, unfortunately, some of the clubs I've been involved in didn't succeed, and we don't get the credit if we don't succeed, and that's one of the things that makes coaching very difficult. It's hard to make it appetizing to people or to incentivize them to do it. Sometimes we try to at the district level to do certain things to make people want to encourage, or I should say, encourage them to be coaches. We can't make them, but to encourage them to be coaches. But at the same time, there's only been so much we can do. It's really more about a love and a passion for what we do as Toastmasters and just trying to, connect with your fellow members and do what you can to help everybody come up and be successful together. And I think even in my experience as a coach, that's the thing that I always at least came back from it. I don't feel like the time was wasted. I didn't get the credit I wanted. I'll be honest, I didn't get it. But I
Right.
helped people do something to work towards a greater goal, bigger than myself. All of us were working together to do the best we could. And even if we weren't successful, we gave it our best shot. And a lot of these same people, though, one thing I can say about this is a lot of the same people that were in the club that I'm thinking about that dissolved, they went to other clubs. They didn't just leave Toastmasters, but at least they knew that we cared. And I think
Right.
that's something that we think about in terms of retention. If we could get them to stay in Toastmasters, to be a part of our district family and to stay a part of the family, we haven't lost everything. We losing our members is the worst blow to us. Our clubs is a big deal, but it's the individual members obviously that make up the clubs, and we want to keep them involved any way we can. But I think that it's something we have to continue to strive for. I know World Headquarters has done a little bit better to streamline the program, make it more approachable for people, but there's still some things, obviously, even as we try to wait on them to uh, begin to roll out these new changes and pathways. We're still waiting on them to do some things to make it better for our membership, and we're at the behest of Toastmasters when it comes to that. But I think at the same time, if we can, have more people to work with our club growth director to take on club coaching assignments, it's a big deal. It's some of the hardest work I think we can do as Toastmasters, but at the same time, it's one of those things that it's definitely a labor of love.
I think you hit it on the head right there. I think the people that get involved with clubs do so because these are not just people that are running a club. These are our friends. These are our other leaders. We want them to succeed. We've been at meetings with them. We've sat down and had lunch with them. So these other clubs, we want them to succeed, and everybody that's there wants them to succeed. So we have to continue to work at that to make it happen. And I think if you understand that it is a passion, you have to find those one or two leaders within a club that can exude that passion to the rest of the leadership on a daily basis and set up plans. To kind of talk about one of the success stories, and even the club that I didn't get credit for in much the same way as you, where we didn't get credit for it, they showed improvement. They did improve. And in many cases, they get credit after our time is up. They actually get back to being a successful club after that point. And that's okay. For me anyways, I'm not looking for the credit for it. I want to make sure that these clubs succeed and build a good foundation to build upon. The clubs that have had complete success where we actually got credit for it, one of the most important things that they did was identify a couple of their problems. They weren't getting great engagement, and it was kind of, if you leave it up to somebody to say, hey, what do we do with these members that don't want to contribute? Well, first thing that they did was they made a schedule, and they said, all right, at this meeting, you're going to be Toastmaster at this meeting. And everybody was assigned a role and a date. Now, you could opt out or go and find a replacement for yourself for that meeting, but you have to be working towards your goals. And part of the Toastmasters promise is that when we joined, that we agreed to, as a Toastmaster, to do these things, to be a leader when called upon. And that, I think that's important to understand, that we want to make sure that everybody sees a value in what they do. You know, a speech, somebody who gives a speech, we're not doing anything for that person giving a speech if they're not evaluated. So that's why an evaluator role is important. It makes a huge difference to that speaker. And having a good experience for those members is why they come back. It's also why they join as members, is because prior to COVID, I don't think we saw as many people club shopping. Like, they would go to 5 or 6 or 7 clubs before they made a decision which club they wanted to join. During COVID, people were jumping online in different meetings, and I'm not sure if you saw that, but it certainly seemed that way to me.
It's a different world now that we're having to work within the hybrid model, and I'm thankful to the great people here in our district, you know, especially the kind of the work that Ahmad and Nick and others have done in helping to get us from where we were to where we are now. That we're still trying to build upon that strong foundation, and it's a different kind of reality that we operate in now with this hybrid environment. And then, of course, people from around the world being able to almost visit willy-nilly. Plus, you know, some clubs have gone back to being in person, and that's okay too. But we have so many more that are hybrid, and that's kind of become the expectation. And it's going to be a different kind of um, machination going forward of how we have to operate in this virtual and in the real physical space as well as Toastmasters. And it that in and of itself can pose its own sorts of challenges to club coaching and to recruiting people to work on these retention efforts. But I think you're right. You know, a lot of people they're just trying to figure out where they fit in sometimes, and people need to have that option. Obviously, our clubs are different, and we like that variety. You know, they follow a basic format, but they have a lot of things that they can do to their own discretion, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, sometimes people have to find out where they fit in to really want to be involved, and I think that's half the answer, is finding out where you really want to fit in. Do you like this club? Do you like the way it's run? You know, their approach to things, however they order the meeting, does it work for you? And then, you know, you plug in and you get involved. And those two things coming together makes for us a very successful Toastmaster. But we certainly have to be aware of the fact that sometimes people are going to shop around when they can.
Right, right. And you can scare off a new member when you ask them, just like going on a first date and asking the person to marry you. If you're that desperate, you know, somebody comes in and they walk in, they ask them if they want to be club president. That can ring alarm bells of the stability of the club. If the first words out of your mouth is, "Hey, we need a club president. How would you like to take over?" Hey, I just got here. I wanted to learn about the organization. I wanted to learn how to speak better or communicate. And you're right away thrusting them into a role. It's best if they can have somebody to mentor them too. And I think that's where some of the best results are, is each club developing a mentorship program within it. The more successful clubs seem to have a good mentor program where that person is focused on one other person. So if I join, I would be assigned, let's say Jason would be my mentor, and he would then tell me not only how to connect to pathways, and not only, but explain to me the nuances of speech giving, and importantly, help to guide me in my goals. What's my plan? And a mentor there helps you to achieve club goals, but they help you to achieve your goals. Everybody joined for different reasons. Sometimes it's because I want to be better at communicating, and I want to write a book, or I want to go and make money as a professional speaker. Those are all great goals, but you have to have somewhere to start, and a mentor can help you plan out that path for you. I think you see it even more now with, as the younger generation that's come in, one of the challenges for them has been they want to see, well, I want to be at XYZ position in 5 years. Well, that's fine. And I like that aspiration and goal setting. But here are the goals and the milestones you have to hit in order to get there. So if you want a DTM in 3 years, here's what you're going to have to do. The best thing is to get started in volunteering right away, because if you have to be a club officer for 6 months, you have to be a district officer for a year. You know, both of those commitments, in general, you're usually committing for a year. So that's 2 years of just volunteer service in order to get to your DTM. The speaking part is nothing. You can give a speech every single meeting and get your educational goals accomplished, but getting those leadership goals are really where the challenge is. And people usually don't start looking at that until they've finished their second path. So I encourage everybody to, you can not only be a club coach for other coaches, but you can help people within your own club succeed. And that's where people are going to stay, because they feel supported. And I think that's really critical. What do you think, Jay?
Well, I think as we kind of wind this down a bit, it's that human connection that we have to have with people. And, you know, some of that was, I guess, I won't say it was delayed, but it was maybe a bit strained because of what happened with COVID, because we all had to go into a virtual space. And then we got a little disconnected with each other more than we usually do. So if you think about spring conference last year, where we had our first hybrid conference and we all got together again, it was awesome. And it was awesome seeing everybody at some of the summer, winter TLIs and summit and so on since then. But that first spring conference after COVID, wow, you know, what a feeling it was to come back together again. And now that we can, you know, for the most part, meet in person when we have the opportunity, I mean, it's the best time to get involved as a coach, to have those interpersonal connections and rejuvenate those relationships, and to continue to build with, you know, with our clubs. And I want to thank you for all that great advice that you've shared. You've always been a great leader and speaker here in our district, and we really appreciate your insight, because you've done a lot of great things. Everybody knows that. We're always grateful for your time. But I think that, you know, there's a lot of folks here that are willing to help, that are happy to help, that you just need to ask. And that's a big requirement for some people. Even in the Toastmasters world, we're taught to be forthright somewhat, but at the same time, it's sometimes hard to just ask. I've had to learn to just ask more than I ever, you know, used to do, because I still have to work against my introverted nature sometimes. And when it comes to coaching, sometimes it'd be nice if more of our members would just ask for the opportunity, because a lot of clubs would be happy to work with you. There has to be an agreement between the club and the coach that they both want to work together, but majority of the time our clubs are very open to that and are happy to have the help. So I think that's the key. You know, it comes back down to the human element. It comes back down to those interpersonal relationships and strengthening those. And I think through that process, we become better coaches and better individuals as a result. But if, you know, why else are we Toastmasters if not to be better people, if, you know, if nothing else, right? At the end of the day. But
Yep.
I know we don't have a lot of people on the panel. If it's okay with you, Dean, I'm just going to open it up for any last minute questions before we wrap this up.
Sure.
Thank you, Dean, for sharing your knowledge and your time with us today. I appreciate your words of wisdom. Thank you, Jason, for putting this together for us.
And thank you too, Sonia, for all your hard work for the district. Let me not overlook that, because God knows I don't know how we get PR done without you and Davina. So we appreciate you. So with that, we will wrap this up. I want to thank our panelists and participants today. It's been good to have some frank conversations about coaching. This is being recorded, so the plan is, as we get to the chance, to upload this to our YouTube channel to make it available to our membership. Hopefully in the future, if we have more interest, we could do something like this again, perhaps after the speech contest season. Maybe we'll have a little better attendance, but we will see. But again, I want to personally thank Dean and for all of his wisdom today. I appreciate you taking time, sir, out of your day to talk to us. It was a wonderful conversation, and you really made the panel work. So thank you, sir, for your time. And Sonia, and everybody else who could attend, we appreciate it. So I wish you all a great day and a wonderful weekend. And thank you. This is again Jason Cook, Program Quality Director, District 63, signing off. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
Thank you.